What's up guys? I hope you're doing well. I recently filmed 3 commercials for an association who help young people to start their new life. It was a really fun project, even with a really small budget, and a lot of clients were involved on it, so it restrained a bit all the creative aspect of it, but it's still a fun project. To help me on set, I called a friend to help me with light, with gears, stuff like that, and of course film all the BTS that you will see on the video. It's really important to have someone with you when you can afford it financially, because all the difficult parts, all the stressful stuff, he can handle it and you can like totally focus on the rest, and it's priceless. So like I said, the project was cut in 3 parts. The first one about health, the second one about apartment, flat, stuff like that, and the last one about mobility to get a car, the French license, etc. For the health and mobility clips, I already know that I wanted to play on something really cold and almost depressive atmospheres at the beginning of each clip, and then quickly move into something more warm, safe and confident, you know, like the dude or the girl is really in a bad situation at first, and with all the service and help they can get, it's better and better. About the gears used on set, quite simple. Like I said, the budget was small, so there wasn't a lot of fancy stuff. The main camera was my FX3 with a Tamron 28 to 75, something like that, I don't remember. And about the lights, I had one Forza 720, one Amarant 200X and 2 Amarant 100D. Really simple. Let's talk about the first clip. It took place in 4 different locations: a skate park, a musicotherapy office, a living room and a classical therapist office. The skate park was normally the easiest and the quickest, because I did some scouting before with the sun seeker to know where the sun at, and everything was planned. But when we came, damn, the fog was everywhere, and we already know that the warm and sunny part was impossible to shoot. So we modify a bit. We shot everything as planned, but instead to have a really warm and sunny part, I just add in post-production a little more yellow and yellowish tints, and like this, you know, this, like you can see right now, this really simple neon text effect. I know it's not perfect, but sometimes you need to deal with what you have, but for me it does the work. Well, the second part was actually quite challenging, storytelling wise, because first I didn't know anything about the location I was going to shoot at. They didn't give me any permission to do some scouting there, because it was like an hospital, a psychiatric hospital. So it was a total discovery. But if I had all this stress, it wasn't because I didn't know the place. Of course, it had a lot of stress too, but it was more about the story. I had this vision at first of a girl with a broken leg and a doctor who is trying to help her to walk again. And during the video, she finally can walk, you know, she's standing up, you can see that she's going to be better and stuff like that. But my client didn't wanted any classical doctors. She absolutely wanted she absolutely wanted a musical therapist, professional who is helping people with music. So I tried to manage my first idea with this restriction. So I put the model on the floor, and she don't speak at all. She's like sad, close to everyone in the room. And during the video, we can see her like standing, smiling, start singing, and it's like now she can talk to everyone. She's feeling better. She's confident with herself. The setup was straightforward. I put my Forza outside, pointing directly at the wall inside, with at first a cold look. If I remember, I was at like 3,700 Kelvin, something like that. Inside, I put a top light just at the top of the model, because I really wanted to see her as the main subject. Of course, I was thinking to light all the room, but she was the main subject, you know. I pushed it to make a really good and big contrast between the cold and the warmth. The Forza outside, my 200X as a top light, one 100D to fill some shadow in a corner because it was way too dark, and I put an extra pivot tube in the background to make this, you know, practical fantasy light, to make everything really pop. On the right, I just put a big negative to make more contrast because all the walls were white, so it was a nightmare to control the light everywhere. And that's it. I just kept this setup during all the scenes there. I just managed, you know, the distance or the negative to make the close-up more accurate and stuff like that, but I really tried during all this project to make like simple setup because we didn't add a lot of budget. I didn't want it to make something really complex. That's it. After the musicotherapy scene, we had to shoot, you know, in the living room, but it was shot on the second day because it was in the same place that the second clip. So we are directly moving to the last part of the first clip, the psychologist scene. It wasn't really easy to make it looking good because first we had this empty room. It was like a dilemma with the client because we asked for a real psychologist room, you know, with some nice table and some props. When we entered, it was empty, without anything, even just a couch. Just imagine a big room with just a couch. It was our room. So we managed to get some coffee table with some practical lamps, stuff like that, but it was really minimalist. But the second big problem was the curtain. They were all red, so you have this reddish color tint everywhere, and we didn't have any permission to remove them because they were like glue or stuck in the wall with some stuff. I didn't know what was that. I tried to minimize this reddish effect with, like always, my Forza outside playing like the sunshine and the cold winter. Inside, I tried really to put some negative everywhere to really control and manage this tint and all the lights because it was really bright. Some bouncing 100D on the ceiling. And the 200X was like the previous scene at the top to enhance like the sunshine and the cold winter because the angle of the window wasn't perfect to me for this backlight that I wanted. And on the right, to enhance again and push in the practical better, I put a pivot tube just next to the practical but invisible at the camera, and it works. It works. It wasn't, at first, it wasn't the best scene and the best scenario for me because I was really scared of the place. But in conclusion, it was okay. Maybe you are seeing it to yourself right now because since the beginning of the video, I'm saying, yeah, it wasn't perfect. Yeah, it wasn't good. But yeah, it was the case. But in the final, I'm pretty happy with the result. Like you can see, it's okay. I will tell you all the budget for this shooting at the end. You will agree with me about all of that. Okay, let's talk about the second clip. It was really clear from the beginning for me. This is this girl moving in this new apartment, becoming independent with this safe place and healthy routine. So I wanted for the clip during all of it something really cozy, warm, almost nostalgic. That's why during the first second of it we can see directly the sunset on the room. She's unpacking everything, so it sets the tone for the rest of the video. The setup was really cool to make because we shot almost everything in the living room. So I put, like always, a Forza outside on the big tripod, like 7 meters. I attached it to the wall because with the wine it was pretty scary. And inside, really classic, I put the 200X at the top of air, at the top light, and I bounce gently the pivot tube on a white sheet to replicate a fake cob lighting. If you don't know what it is like you put a lot of white sheets all around your model, like a L, and you bounce from the top or the bottom, it depends. And it depends on the budget, of course, the light directly at it. So the light is gently and soft all around the head. It's really cool to make. I will make a video about it if you want to have more detail. Anyway, for the sequence inside the box, it was quite simple to make. You just open the box at the bottom and you put the camera inside and boom, you have your dynamic shots. It's always a wow effect and I quite like them, you know, when it's not too long. But for that, I just put a power tube and put it next to the model to make a nice light line, and with a good contrast on the left with a negative fill. We just finished the shot. It was time to go on the couch because most of the clip take place on the couch, so I tried to make something really efficient and consistent during all the scene on it. Like always, I put the Forza outside playing as the sunlight and a semi-backlight. And inside, first I blocked every window with some negative because we didn't shot at the same direction as the sun for a technical issue. To compensate that, after putting all the negative on the window, put some white sheet directly at the wall, bouncing a 100D at like 15% to have a knife and soft light enhances the key light. And at the top of air, of course, we put the 200X with a softbox and a grid, and it really did the work. Oh, and I forgot, we put a power tube in the background to light a bit because it was really dark because of negative fill on the window. But what about the POV shot? Well, quite simple. I took some magic arm from small rig, attached it directly at the FX3, and tada! You have your nice dynamic POV shot from the controller. We didn't film at all in the living room, we moved everything in the dressing room. But it was already night outside, so how did we manage to light this scene? Well, like again, I'm not going to repeat that about the Forza outside. This time, I tweaked a bit the lighting in the background and the color panel. I add some blue inside because the bedroom was the background and we didn't add enough power in terms of light. So I just took the 200X, put it in a colder Kelvin, and you have this nice contrast of orange and blue, and it's quite nice in the eye. I guess it's time to speak about the last clip, the mobility one. Okay, let's get cozy and sum up you a bit the video. So the plan was to have the dude waiting at a bus shelter without any driving license or car or mobility service related. And the client arrived, helping him with everything he needs to become mobility independent. And that's the script. So I checked the weather day and days before the shooting to be sure that everything was perfect. But you know how unlucky I am since the beginning of this project. During the shooting day, it was full of rain and strong wind. So for the first two shots, it was okay. Because I wanted this feeling of loneliness, sadness, cold, waiting, and it's perfect. But after those shots, the weather didn't change at all. It was still raining with the strong winds. So I tried to reach the client to explain him the situation, but we didn't have enough time to shoot another day. So I was forced to manage the shots even with this bad weather. So I modified a bit the shot list and the schedule of the day. And when I checked the weather, I saw that between midday and 1 p.m. it was not raining. So we take the shots, move everything to the location, and when we arrived, it was not raining, but it was so overexposed. You know, midday is the worst timing to shoot at because the sun is way too high in the sky. Everything was overexposed and the wind was still pretty strong. We didn't have enough charge and less to put on the stand. We didn't use any light or any negative or white sheets. Everything was in natural daylight. And it was pretty hard to shoot at. I did some tweak on the white balance and post-production to have this summer feeling, even if we see that the sky and the weather is not at all during summer. And after the shot, we still have some time to go to the other location. It was the scene between the client and the young man getting a car. Initially, we had a house with a garage to be in front of, but we didn't add the initial garage. So we tried to manage to have one, and well, we got one, but it was in slope and not as apparent visually, and it was way more windy there. So I tried to put my car and next to him the negative to try to have some contrast, but it didn't really work. I don't even know if there is a difference. We didn't test, but it was pretty chaotic. At the end, the project was pretty fun to make, even with all the last minute problem. And if I have to make any conclusion about it, it will be you can't control everything. It is really important to make your storyboard, your planning shot, your shot list, and all the pre-production. But on set, you can't control everything. If it's the weather or any client problem related or with model, and you can't be everywhere, and sometimes stuff and shit happen, and you need to just get back on track and find the solutions. Don't be too complex on that solution. You need to get to the point and to be quick. That's all that matters. Okay guys, we arrive at the end of the video. I hope you like it. And if you have any question, don't hesitate and put a comment below. And that's it. It's subscribe, I guess, and see you soon.